Adelaide and today the Fremantle Dockers. Now, they took it up to the Brisbane Lions last week in what was a bit of a canter. But they've just got to work on next week over the next 30 minutes.
Well, the next 30 minutes begins with a standard scrap in the middle. Patersons in there, Ibbotson. Eye up and under from Mundy.
And next week, Hutto, Friday night, West Coast Eagles take on the Cats.
It'll be big, it'll be here. And Pavlich very nearly was lining up for goal number 8. Duffield. Their anticipation has been one of their great strengths today. They've seen what's coming.
Well, that's been Fremantle's day there. That commitment by Paul Duffield. Every player at the Fremantle Dockers has been doing that all day. Fantastic by the Dockers.
Adenui and Griffin, that's a Wayhood throw-in. Grabbed by 5. What happened there? Unless the ruckman were in the wrong position in the first place.
Incredible mark, this one from Bo Waters.
So Waters deep in defence. Johnson has a bit of room to fly, doesn't try and take the mark. Patersons caught in the clutches, and Fremantle will work it through again. Johnson, Duffield wound himself up. Pavlich came late. Oh, spectacular from Matthew Pavlich. He can take them any which way right now. Look at this. The launch. Self-belief. He lines up for number 8 here.
What's the probability on this one, Hutto, after a big mark?
Well, normally a big mark makes it harder.
More difficult.
I reckon he'll kick this,
Not
though.
the sort of form he's in.
The sights are in today. He goes back and slams through his 8th goal. And this superstar has done it just about all today. He's climbed the highest heights. He's done it on the ground. And he's kicked 8 goals, and he's well and truly the leading goal kicker in the competition.
And he's well and truly on his way to 13.
Gee, he is.
I'm getting a little bit nervous for our man here. Couldn't see 2 in 4 months, could you? Couldn't possibly.
Well,
but what an
you
amazing
could the way you started this quarter.
That's just some of the honours that have been bestowed upon Matthew Pavlich, 6-time best and fairest, 6-time All-Australian, club record holder. There's a couple that are missing. The obvious one is a premiership player, but the Coleman medal could well be in his sights.
Well,
Mundy, McPhee, Fife, gathers himself.
Push in the back as he kicked. Push in the back. Back here. As he kicked. Thanks, Josh. Go behind your mark, Nat. Time back on. Well.
So Fife works his way back to McFarlane.
Thanks, Jack.
Step by step, they'll piece it together here. Fremantle out for Johnson, but McPhee loose. They've always had the next step ready in their minds. Johnson again, they're bounding forward. Pavlich not involved here. Just grabbed onto the jumper for a moment there on Walton.
Well, he's just broken the record, Pav, for the most goals ever by a Docker in the Derby, taking that title away from Clive Waterhouse. And he's in pursuit of Scotty Cummings, 10 goals, 2 in 2000.
Scotty talks about that a fair bit. Here's Mundy into the clear. Tabs it away to the right.
Fremantle have made their substitution. Dylan Robertson into the game and Zach Dawson out.
Thanks, Jacko. In a very humble way, Scotty talks about it, of course. No Waters. With a bit of a run and a kick. Nadanui's there. Normally standard fair, that one. Couldn't capture it. Fife, creative again into the middle to Mundy. Those two work together well. Robertson comes on, as we said, as the sub. Into the 50. And no one prepared to fly that time.
So if you're coaching the West Coast Eagles, Kingy, you got Geelong coming up. Where do you start?
I think you start by just getting your game back together. Only play players that are prepared to play the Worsfold way, and that's locking the ball in the forward half, playing your game if you can. Last quarters have been a problem, Jared.
They have, well, particularly right now, but it's a contested ball for me that needs to change.
Well, they'll poor against Sydney, -30, -26 against Adelaide, and -35 against Fremantle at three-quarter time. It's a huge concern. And I think that when you look at the way John Worsfold wants you to play, that's the #1 criteria for selection.
Yeah, he'd be disappointed. He's lost a little bit of ammunition with the ruckman not having a great day, but the ball still hits the ground, and it hits the ground around the traps, and they just haven't been competitive against those sides at the top end.
And Wayward in front of goal was a real problem for them earlier. It hasn't improved much. 5-12. Sorry, Jacko.
And Jared, just to add to that, I mean, games against Sydney and Adelaide and Freo, their last 3 losses, when they've been challenged, they haven't been able to fight their way out of it, find something different, change it up a little bit, and that's an area of concern for John Worsfold and his players.
Delicate kick, but well executed for Barlow. Takes the mark.
Play on! Play on!
I think the one thing that we've noticed today, the one thing we've learnt today, is that when a structural player comes out of your team, the impact that it has, as in Darren Glass, at fullback, it just changes so much of who you are.
The flow-on effect.
The domino effect, it just cruels not only the matchup on Pavlich, but the other back 6 matchups and so on.
Again, Mundy. That time, too tough for Walters. McKenzie playing on him now.
Well, there is the structural player you're talking about.
Get a look through it.
Still the most important player for the West Coast Eagles, in my view. Get to nominate one, Kingy, who would it be?
Oh, I still think Nick Nat, when he plays well, they play well. I'm surprised you didn't say him, Jared, actually.
Well, you've got to still maintain a little bit of perspective.
That'll get back.
Well,
I'm just having a look at the contested possession numbers for the Eagles. Daniel Kerr, as we'd all expect, he is just so far ahead away of anybody else, far in front of anybody else. It's silly. He's had 18 contested possessions. And the next best is Natanui with 7, Matthew Prittis with 6.
they had an extra body there. Fremantle couldn't use it to their advantage.
Well, 18 is 20% of the team's contested possessions.
Sungu in the ruck against Cox surely gave away the free.
Did he get a stat?
Just crashed into him. Yeah, they get it anyway. Marston. Look at this.
Put it on, play on, play on.
I'm not sure that Cox actually felt anything.
Maintain it.
Jacko, do you think Cox should have played?
Well, if he put his hand up, Jared, he trained. We spoke to him yesterday at a function, and he said he was good to go. So if you put your hand up, you've got to play.
Mitch marks in front of Robertson. Hill tries to make a little manoeuvre on McPhee. They're one-on-one deep. McGinnity, Hill also in the vicinity. McFarlane watching Darling. Lynch obviously considers himself a chance.
They're not playing like a top 4 side, the Eagles. That's an obvious thing to say, but they may miss the top 4 because in reality they aren't in the top 4. They're not good enough, physically good enough at this stage.
That makes sense. Here's the kick from Lynch. Drops well short and slapped over the boundary line.
They haven't just monstered lesser teams. They haven't just beaten the Gold Coast and the GWS and Melbourne and these teams. Against the quality sides, especially when they've travelled, they haven't been able to do the job. And again today they've come up short.
Cox drags it down. Duffield. Anyone's footy. McGinnity putting in the hard work. Hearn tries to carry a big load there. There's 4 Fremantle players there to stop him in his tracks.
What do they do with Shannon Hearn? That's the biggest question for me.
Well, he's been one of the key reasons that they've struggled in recent weeks. He just has not been able to get the ball when people have sat on him. Now, they haven't tried him in the middle of the ground. They like to keep their structure, but and right now they're looking at sides coming from underneath them. The Eagles, they've got the Cats on Friday night, then they've got what you'd call an easy kill, Port Adelaide, Then they've got Collingwood and Hawthorn to round it out. There's nervous times ahead for the Eagles if they don't somehow turn this around in a hurry.
Zungu, Selwood. The crowd enjoying all these West Coast mistakes. They've had a lot to cheer about. Not much joy in that box, though.
I mean, right now at risk is a home final. We were thinking a
Double home final.
A double home final leading to a prelim final. Right now they're at risk of losing all advantage unless they play Fremantle, as Jacko said earlier in the piece. I mean, they just have to somehow find a way to knock off the Cats. Then they can play Port Adelaide and get 2 in a row and come into Collingwood and Hawthorn with a little bit of momentum that's been lost today after having been rebuilt last week against the Lions.
I think Jacko's point from earlier is very good. The fact that we all think that they're home final, they'd win a home final. But if the home final was again this derby, there's no home ground advantage. And we may just get the same result we're getting here if Fremantle are to finish in 8th position.
And there it is outlined for you. The next 4 for West Coast to finish off the season. We're getting closer to September and the stakes are being raised all the time. Mzungu to Fife. What a great thrill for Freo fans to have him back up and fit. Schofield just got away from Pavlich. Oh, Marston Crunch, that was the time to bump. Well done, well executed by Ballantyne. Now Pavlich on tired legs, trying to work this through. Across he goes to the factor. And Brad straight back to Hayden Ballantyne.
But Hayden Ballantyne should never have called for that. Kepler should have done a reverse pivot, come round the inside, gone onto the left and dobbed it from 50.
Not sure what sort of factor he is. He's just the factor.
7 out of 8, Hutto. 7 out of 8.
The Selwood brothers fumble it a little between them. Pritis there to lend a hand. McGinnity puts the head down, ran the gauntlet a little bit, straight back into the traffic. Fife.
I think the other thing that highlights the last couple of weeks, Jared, is that when your quality comes back into the team, we see Fife come back in. He hasn't had an amazing day by any stretch, but the flow-on effect again.
Domino theory helps.
Exactly. It frees up players like Hill, Duffield, these sort of players that can roam through the midfield.
He's been pretty good since quarter time. He was quiet in the first quarter, but he's now got 24 disposals to his name, Fife.
He has, but he hasn't been dominant.
No, you're right.
And Hill hasn't been dominant.
Here he is again, his 25th disposal in difficult circumstances. Got away with a bit of a scoop in amongst all that Freo. Ballantyne, this is Swift. It is very slippery at the moment. They're all having trouble with it. So if you just joined us, Matthew Pavlich with 8 goals so far to lead the Coleman medal tally. Up to 55 goals for the season. John Petrie kicking 5 earlier today. Lundy. There's Kepler. Oh, he could have got a free then, Kepler.
Geez, some work going on inside that clinches there, and the blockage work from both sides is incredible at these stoppages.
Getting a look.
Test of possessions plus 39, as you said earlier, Jared. That's a huge number.
Oh, it's a massive number, isn't it?
Oh. When you consider that outside of Kerr in the West Coast Eagles lineup, the next highest is 8. That's equivalent to 5 players.
Chant goes up around Patersons Stadium. Eagles trying to get a break, but Ballantyne again beats them to the punch. Brown manhandles Main. De Boer came through. It is a real scrap at the moment. They're scrounging their way. Pavlich carrying the footy in a...
Well, a week's a long time in footy, as we know. 10 weeks is an eternity. Ross Lyon, after his last derby, outfit his first derby, was he's almost public enemy #1 right around the football world. And yet hasn't it spun on a dime?
Whoa. Sliding in there was Michael Johnson. Swift Oh, Fife shows them how to handle the slippery ball. Great service for Main. And he can go back and have a shot for goal. Oh, he's Mr. Popular now. Mr. Popular guy is Ross Lyon. If he can get Fremantle into the top 8. How have you enjoyed your first derby, Kingy?
Well, it's been terrific. It really has. I didn't think that Fremantle had this sort of performance in them, and it is amazing to see them live. I've got to say their work rate's the thing that's blown me away today, but the atmosphere coming in was first rate, and the Fremantle Football Club have lived their part of the deal.
Crowd of just under 40,000 watching the kick from Mundy. Another blow to the Eagles. 70 points now. And Mundy's got back to form too, hasn't he? As the season's gone, it's been a slow start for him. We know what an important component he is of their midfield. There's the next month leading into possibly a finals appearance. Jared, can they do it?
Well, I think they can now, Hutto. Adelaide is a real challenge for them. Melbourne, you'd expect them to just get the 4 points. The Tigers of North Melbourne, they're pretty tough games.
They can beat North Melbourne. It might do two things.
It may come to that very last game when they take on the Kangaroos as to which side gets in, but the Kangaroos now well and truly in there on 44 points.
And that percentage, vital. They're creeping up on Essendon. I mean, we're going to Adelaide tomorrow to watch the Bombers take on the Crows, and that becomes even more important for Essendon. Swift winds his way through and kicks it deep. It was well placed. It had to bounce though, and that meant that Butler, who's been redeployed into the forward line, had to wait, and good things didn't come to he who waited on that occasion. Quick kick away from Spur. It's going to come back via this man, Daniel Kerr. Possession number 32 for Hams, who can crank it up to the top of the square. Cox arching the back, trying to put the pressure on Johnson, but he raises the stakes and thumps it over.
Well, they still get to eclipse their worst ever score here at Patersons Stadium. Some work to do, just 5 points, but they don't look like scoring. That said,
that's a goal.
That'll do it.
It was an amazing
goal.
Amazing goal.
Willed that one.
The time between when you finish that sentence and the ball going through.
It was about 0.01 of a second.
Record. So 64 points once again.
Here's the ladder. They've got 12 wins and a healthy percentage.
Straight back. It's the rush.
So next Friday night's match is for 5th place at the moment, isn't it, between Geelong and West Coast?
Just wondering what Fremantle have got in terms of improvement. Jacko, where is Aaron Sanders at the moment? Is he on the radar?
Still out with that foot injury, and whether he comes back through the waffle, that'll be something to be determined. And Broughton has been sent for the rest of the year surgery with a finger.
Zach Clark, Jacko.
It was an emergency today, Jared.
Just seeing him as a depth player at the moment. Do you think Kepler's got his spot?
I would think so. The fact that Kepler's a bigger body can go forward, hold down a position, kick a goal.
Valentine from his corner kicks it. Oh, that is great desperation from Mundy, and he'll get it a hole to throw, and it's 50. Is it? No, it's not 50.
He had the other hand. It was hard to...
Surprised you're throwing Kepler Bradley into the mix, Jared.
Well, he's always on the edge. He plays better when he's on the edge.
Check it on the week.
11 on the edge.
He's lived there all his life.
Drop him and bring him back for the finals.
There's every chance they may freshen him up.
Oh, a calamity for Gaff. He recovered it very well. And Selwood to the wing. Johnson really good manoeuvring of the body. He did have a bit of body shape and size on Hill, but he got to the right position.
He's had a great year, Jacko, across that centre-half back position.
He certainly has. And the area of his game that he got criticised was his disposal, and he's certainly improved that this year, Jared.
Roberton goes for Pearce. Worked off Gaff pretty comfortably. Takes the mark.
Oh, that'll look.
Yeah, he has a glance or two. Pavlich wants it in the square, but he's going for Ballantyne. I think they needed that in the square. See if we can get Pav home for another one.
Didn't read the script.
just under 7 remaining. As we saw with those live ladders, the percentages are all important. We've been saying that for a while, but it's going to come to an amazing conclusion, isn't it? Round 23. Hopefully it'll go that far for those positions. You couldn't imagine it any other way.
I'll get it.
And it is important, Jared, that your graph is on the up coming into the finals campaign, and that's my worry with the Eagles right now, is that things are looking a little bit grim.
Swift, Main, careful not to infringe.
You got it, mate. Yeah, I got it. Thanks.
Ball getting closer to Freo's goal. One little slip up, and it could be through the middle, but the West Coast defence shows some good resilience there.
It's that passage of play there that Fremantle have been very good to be able to make something out of nothing. As you'll see, Chris Marston getting some work on his hamstring, but Fremantle have just kept that ball alive in their forward 50, which has resulted in a lot of goals.
McGinnity heaves it out of there. The numerical advantage was with Fremantle initially, but once it came off the pack, it's the West Coast that can bolt. Kerr just trying to engineer something going forward. Escape from the desperate lunge of Robertson. The fresh legs. Kerr's had 33 disposals.
I haven't got the record books in front of me, but I can't imagine there would have been too many years where the swing in the results has been as significant as we've seen this year. 48 points last time after being 20 points apiece at half-time. And at the present time, it's 64 points. Which is, I mean, one has been gone from one belting to a complete belting this time.
It's in a bounce.
Thanks, boys. Thanks, Daniel.
I think we're always going to get some growth out of Fremantle. The more weeks, the more minutes under Ross Lyon, you felt they were going to develop this young midfield, and structurally you knew there was going to be some advantages.
Ballantyne unfortunately coming off the ground for Fremantle because it meant that West Coast had some extra numbers deep. But didn't really help West Coast too much. Pavlich already on the bench. Griffin down to Barlow, Crowley, inch by inch. And Walters there to see it out. So we're down to the last 5 now.
Cramp in the castle. Hayden Ballantyne just getting some massage on both of them now.
Johnson preparing to return as Ballantyne gets that work done. Griffin trying to farm it down to Barlow. Sitting on top of Prentice, who better show the umpire something, or he is cooked. You heard the call earlier, give me something.
Well, it's a tough rule. We all know it by now.
That's all we ask.
Got to make an attempt, that's all we ask. You hear that? I know that's exactly right. And they've been fair all day. They've paid that decision half a dozen times and been very consistent.
So Barlow, 7 goals, 11 for the season. He had the goal umpire working hard. See the result there, hits the post.
That's it, Michael. You.
Well, the chances are, Jacko, that you're going to be coming back here for a final between these two sides.
And that's what WA footy will be certainly looking forward to if that opportunity presents. It would be a cracking game.
A few things have to happen before that occurs,
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
guess.
Yeah. But I'm just looking at the form that they're in at the present time, the Dockers. I think we can safely say that the West Coast will beat Port Adelaide. That gives them 13 wins. So something unusual would have to happen if they don't make the finals. But the form they're in, you can't see them getting top 4. That's almost gone, that spot. And the Fremantle Dockers, well, they're in such good form, it's hard to see them not making the 8.
Yeah, I think 13 should get you in with the right percentage, and we thought 13 on itself would make it, but given the results of the weekend, you're going to need 13 in percentage, and West Coast have that. So as you said, they need that, just that one win.
A lot depends on Essendon, really, and the Kangaroos. But you'd expect that Fremantle with this form would be a certainty.
There's a couple of incidents that will be looked at after this game, and one of them involves Matthew Pavlich. We shouldn't forget that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We had Hutto.
No, he's spot on. He's going to be closely scrutinised. Will probably end up being on the medical report.
An open door for Brown, but again it doesn't fall their way with a touch call. Now who's holding who? It's a free kick
against Darling.
Yep.
Well, he has been their whole forward line, Pavlich, for the best part of 5 weeks. He'd kicked, coming into this game, 24 goals in the last 5 weeks and 8 today. So it's 32 in 6 weeks. It's an amazing output from one player.
And 44 in 9 weeks. In addition to that. Not in addition, but you go back a little further.
Let's have a look at what may create a major blow for the Dockers. Let's have another look at this. The swinging arm, and it clips him. Now, whether or not there's enough force will be determined by how much acting has gone on there. But he's likely to miss one, I reckon.
It'll be an interesting case in defence by Brown. Is he best served to assist Pavlich getting off or not? Not sure they'd like to play Fremantle in the first final, Jared.
I hear what you're saying.
Britis out to Cox. The standing start. Again, they're outnumbered. Natanui a threat. Possibly it was a Falcon. McPhee. There's McFarlane. Pearce. Duffield. Trying to draw the free on Swift. Gets the desired result anyway.
I didn't think any of that went on at the tribunal, Kingy. Just everybody told the truth.
Fife. Main fighting a bit of a one-man battle with Brown. Almost won it. Credit to Brown for boxing on.
There's no doubt that I think the lack of being able to rotate some of these injured players that the Eagles have got has put so much more pressure on the remainder of the list. That there's always an issue that they could just run into being overwhelmed by sort of a season of fatigue. How they can freshen up is the great challenge. They've worked hard to get the wins, so you're entitled to have a couple of down weeks, but they have somehow got to find some form against the better sides in the competition, because that's who they're playing.
Kerr goes the underground option for Gaff. Fife again with a brilliant collect.
He's had a great game, Daniel Kerr. Just worked and worked and worked.
Gaff. Darling, they just crushed him. Robertson. High ball, Fife, Selwood, both climbing for it high. Hill. Now, has he got one more in him? Not yet.
Just got to sing the praises of the Fremantle defence. McFarlane, Johnson, McPhee. They've just outnumbered West Coast. Every 50-50 ball that needs to be won in their backline, they've just made a mindset of winning that contest. And that's what you need if you're going to lead into finals football. Well done to the Fremantle defence.
The chant goes out around Patersons Stadium. The kick from McKenzie. Pavlich does interfere.
You're right, Jacko. They've only taken 3 marks inside the forward 50 all day, and they were taken early. Hams, Lynch and Gaff. In the first half, they were taking those marks. So for basically 60 minutes of football, 0 marks inside the
And this guy
50.
here, Duffield and Garrick Ibbotson, they were questioned at the start of the year. Got dropped, Duffield did, because he didn't comply with team rules. But Dave just got better as the season's gone. So has Freeman. It's the lesser lights, the second-tier players that are going to get him into the finals and have any effect in the finals.
So Duffield works the clock all the way down. So it's a bit of a Tommy Hawkins situation, a little less at stake with the kick. Similar position, siren about to sound. Pavlich was about to launch for one more. It matters not. It's been a purple day, that's for sure, at Patersons Stadium. Pavlich has kicked 8. Fremantle have won by 65 points over the West Coast to be the kings of Derby 36. 17-11, 1-13 to 6-12, 48. And really, they were never headed, were they, Fremantle? They were dominant right from the start.